Joaquin.
Okay, I will go. Do you see my presentation?
Perfect.
Okay, well, this is the last one.
Joaquin, you are in the moderate way. So you have two screens. You have to change the
screen. Yeah, I will change. Okay, do you see now the full presentation mode?
We are seeing the Word document with data availability.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, I think now you see the full presentation.
It's okay, Joaquin.
Perfect. I go. So, well, first, thank you for this meeting. I see that now we are more and more participants, more partners, more diversity than in Enetwild too, which is great. And well, the main aim of this meeting about data collection is to provide you the necessary information you need to start working on that task, particularly for those of you that are new to the consortium. But also there are some new things that we need to explain to everybody. So we want to guide the next step on the issue. So first I will present on the data collection activities we have done so far, and how the improvement that we are incorporating to next activities, and also what are the expectation and deadlines of under this contract of Enetwild. After that, Camila will mainly focus on the wildlife data collection model, and Jota on the tools that we already have or we will have shortly for these activities. So work package 2 about data collection is coordinated by our colleagues from Research Institute in Bielorussia and for ourselves. So obviously after this meeting, we will provide you continued support, and any question, any problem you had, you can count on us to solve it. First, I will let you explain you data collection activities, particularly on wildlife populations during previous Enetwild. About the type of data that we have collected, I will mainly put the emphasis on the hunting statistics. And as you know, wild boar is the key species for us and for EFSA. And then I will refer about the activities that we are going to develop in the new contract. So the main type of data that we have focused on are about hunting statistics, because for species that are huntable, they are normally the data that are more available for wider spatial range over Europe, with potential to be compared and used for different aspects like modeling. We also have worked on data about occurrence, but we mainly try to vehicle the data collection through the submission of data to GBIF. For instance, in parallel, we developed a project on citizen science, and the flow of data is always through the open repository GBIF. So we are not collecting directly this data. And also, EFSA is also interested in density data. Particularly, this was done through the elaboration of a report for wild boar, not only about density, but also other population demographic parameters. Actually, this review on available data was also adapted in a recent report on data availability, the one that Camila distributed to all of you a few days ago. In parallel, also, you know, the observatory, the Enetwild is developing the observatory on wildlife, the European Observatory on Wildlife, to produce this kind of density values. So, for instance, you can see here in this slide the broadly the resolution of data for wild boar at European level. You can see that the range is so wide. We cover most of Europe at different resolution, but good resolution like at notch 3 or below is prevalent in many areas of Europe, even in some areas at the highest resolution, like hunting grounds, even coordinate. On the right, you can see data for other species that are also hunted, like some specific carnivores. And at the end, this is to produce abundant distribution map for EXA for further fast risk analysis. This is the report I commented before, which you can access in the website of Enetwild. Well, a sample of high resolution data for large areas like Spain, where we managed to get all data at hunting ground for all regions. Even the Ministry of Spain did not have this data, but we needed to ask region by region for this data, and we managed to collect this data on hunting statistics, not only for wild boar, but for other species. You can see this map is the abundance based on the hunting bat for wild boar, hunting ground level in Spain. So what was the process for data collection, or at least the ideal process? First, we identify data providers. After that, we develop standards for data based on international standards. This is to favor interoperability of databases. And we developed the data model. Actually, we first developed the wild boar data model, but we extended the standards for any species of wildlife. So now we are managing what we call the wildlife data model that Camila will present. Then you are in position to collect data, and finally to use the data, for instance, for modeling. In reality, this is ideal, but from the very beginning, we started to collect data and to use the data because of the urgent matters that by EFSA. They needed to do some risk analysis, so we rushed to get the data as soon as possible. So, but this is the ideal process that we try to follow all the time. Okay. So the data flow is like that, or was like that for Enetwild 1. You had the data providers. Ultimately, data owners normally are the administration, in some cases the hunters. At national, at regional level, we search for data normally through our contacts at administration, but in most cases, and some of you are here because now you are former partners of Enetwild, through our college at the academia. Okay, so they are not, let's say, the final owners of the data, the ones who store and compile the data from hunters, but they mediated. This is very effective way to do that. Okay, we will speak later about this model of data collection. So we wanted, when possible, the data provider to provide the data in the form of the data model. But normally, I think only exceptionally they fill the data using the model. Normally, they provided to us raw data. So 4 different partners on duty of 4 different regions. For instance, we here in Spain, we share the responsibility with our colleagues from the French Office of Biodiversity to collect the data on the eastern west-south corner of Europe. So these 4 partners are responsible to format this data and to validate this data. The validation during Enetwild 1 was mostly manual. Okay, we didn't have any specific efficient tool to do that. So the regional partners provide the data in the data collection model. Ideally, as I will comment later, was not the case in very often, but they provide the data to IREC, and then IREC, in this case, because we were responsible of modeling together with AFA or British scholars, we used the data for modeling, and the data was submitted to EFSA. This is the ideal situation of how we did ideally. However, I will indicate some difficulties, some problems that after the experience of Enetwild 1 we have to overcome. Okay, in order data collection to be a well-coordinated process and to do the things in due time without extra efforts that normally may be done by certain partners. So, as for data providers, one problem that let's say you cannot manage is that simple that the data is not already collected because it's recent data from the last hunting seasons, or they have not digitized this data yet. Okay. However, maybe just being in contact with them may trigger they to do that earlier. Another problem is that they provide raw data. There are many errors in that data. In many cases, there is a lack of format, even for the same country or for different administration of the same country. Sometimes the special component is not provided or do not match exactly the data. Even there are cases where we have the data very high resolution, where we don't have the management areas or areas to which this data has to be attributed. Okay, and it's the same because then we cannot use even this high resolution data. As at the level of the regional partners, it's important to bear in mind that this is a continuous activity. We will later explain about the deadline, but this is not something that you only have to do when you see the deadline is coming. But it's important to start doing some early. It doesn't mean you are going to work more. Maybe even you are saving effort because you start contacting the different administration or college very much in advance. They will start to work on the data. Even they can provide formatted data. And at the end, you are saving effort. So it's important you to do that as a continuous activity, not a full-time activity, because this is not always possible, but something that you have to start working on that as soon as possible. In some cases, the regional partners do not provide to us the data collection model, but still raw data or not validated data with a lot of errors. Okay, and at the end, we have to do that job for modeling. So it was a really big effort what we did, and was not possible to continue doing. Actually, we, particularly my colleague Sergio, Jota, and others, they are still working on formatting data, eliminating, detecting red errors from Enetwild 1. Okay, and so similarly, sometimes the special component is not provided in the proper way. Obviously, this is like a bottleneck, and all problems are being concentrated there. We don't get, in this case, IREC, the data in due time, in the right format. Then we have to rise to prepare the data for functional modeling. Even this is stable work because you do that only for having a database that is useful for modeling, but is not still meeting the standards of the data model. So you have to do this later on. Well, I think this will not possible anymore because it was a huge effort for us. And the same, at the end, you have to run the model, and you got to get with the result. Obviously, you have to need time to work properly in your data. Okay, well, about what is going on at EFSA, it's not really our matter now, but you will see next that the way we are going to submit data to EFSA will change because now we have a proper website tool for that, a web tool that was developed by us. So here in color, you will see the main improvement or change proposed for next workflow, okay, of data. So I think it's something that we have, maybe it's not to discuss today, when we can discuss partner by partners and country by country. But I think if we want this system to become more self-sufficient, we need the administration to be involved from the very beginning in data provision, direct data provision. After several years of Enetwild, you feel that collaborators start to become tired of providing data, often without anything in. You don't provide any refund of resources for that. So it's important to become a system that from the roots is promoted by the data providers. At this regard, later I will tell you that we plan a meeting with many of them. Okay, so it would be great if we manage that they provide data in the data collection model, but you will find difficulties. You will say that in many cases it will be not possible, and you have to go with raw data, which you have to transform into data collection model, both data and metadata, and to validate. Okay, so this is important to be done by the 14. I think we are 14 at the end, 13 or 14 regional partners or collecting data for different countries. As I mentioned before, ideally this was similar in the previous Enetwild, but finally, in most cases, we did not get data in the data collection model. In many cases, not validated data. For that, we are going to have, for your use, a validation tool. Okay, so for the moment, we are not focusing on the validation tool because you are going to start to collect the data. But early in 2024, we are offering you training on the use of this tool to validate your data. Okay, but for now, you have to focus on collecting data on the data collection model from the different data providers. But at the level of IREC, now in Enetwild 2, we are going to use a web tool to upload the data. But this tool is also useful for visualizing and downloading the data. There are different kinds of users. So EFSA officers and some of IREC, some of Enetwild partners, we had access to this to the data in this web tool at the highest possible resolution. For the normal users, for the public, this tool will be public in the web. They will be able to visualize the data, to explore the data availability, but they will only be able to download the data at low resolution, and always meeting the agreements, the data sharing agreements with countries. Okay. So this is important, as we will mention later, to define a chronogram of activities and to define some internal deadlines. Okay. The internal deadlines are not those of the contract, but are those that we fix internally in advance to those of the contract, the specific contract one. So we guarantee that we are going to produce to EFSA what is committed in due time, following the deadline. So regarding the data collection, this is what is indicated in the contract with EFSA. The first activity is about the report on data availability. The first draft was distributed to you all by Camila, but we are now working on some corrections after EFSA, and you can still provide your comments, but we will circulate one improved version soon about this. But following in point 2.2b, okay, and 2.4, the deadlines, the activities are first to update data on wild boar, both total hunting per country and also disaggregated data. So the deadline in the contract to deliver to EFSA is the end of February. What we propose and ask you is to start working on collecting data of wild boar, not only the total hunting back at country level, but disaggregated data the most possible data in your respective areas, and to provide what you have by 20 January. Okay. Then well, you don't have to provide the data then, but then you will be trained about the use of the validation tool, and then you will be able to start working on validating the data and to submitting this data to IDEC. Okay, so you can start to collect data on whiteboard from now onwards. Then there are other species about which we have to collect the same data. The internal deadline with EFSA is the end of the contract, more or less by the end of September, but the internal deadline is we to have data are ready to be submitted to us by July. Think about that. August, part of July is not the best in terms of holidays, etc. And then you have to elaborate in this data and to produce report. So you need this data always in advance. So this is the internal deadline we propose to you. Bear in mind that this is a continuous activity all the time, and you can distribute your efforts over this time. So the data about whiteboard that you don't provide by January or February can be provided later on, or maybe after that period of time in the spring, some new data is available because countries digitize data. Maybe even the data for the season 23-24 in some cases. Okay, so keep in mind that this is a continuous activity. So this is internal deadline for minimums, but this is always a continuous activity. And always priority is whiteboard data. Well, this is the web tool that we will show you in a specific workshop or training activity. So I try to be in your place, in your mind, particularly for those that are new. So what do you need to start doing activities to collect data in the countries where you already have been committed to do so? First, I think we are, Camila already did, not sure, but we need to distribute the list of data provided, the contacts, okay? The idea is that all these documents you see here, all this documentation in the next days will be available in SharePoint, and we will inform you, okay? So in very few time. So you need the list of contacts, which probably you already have. You need to know the data collected so far. Next, I'm going to show you a summary of that, but you already had the report on that, and you have the data already collected for whiteboard in all countries. You also have to know and to use the data collection model. The next that Camila will explain to you. About the validation tool, this will start to be used in January. So for the moment, just focus your effort on collecting data, on having your data on the data collection model, okay, for whiteboard. Making a summary of the priority on deadlines. We need to collect data on whiteboard, total per country, and disaggregated data. To do what is possible by January 24, by mid-January. And then we are going to show you the validation tool to start submission to us. And for the ungulate in July 24. So in terms of strategy, thinking about how we have to do to have the data we need when EFSA asks about this, please bear in mind next. Try to start your activities as soon as possible and follow the priorities that we mentioned. As I commented, we are sharing with you a folder with all the needed documents within this week. When you start data collection, please check in these documents which data is available and for which species, which seasons, and a good resolution. In some cases, it's important when you contact the country to ask them if they have some of this data that we have, but a better resolution. Maybe they provided data at a certain resolution previously, but now they have better data or now they prefer to share data that they did not before. For instance, this was the case in Sweden. After the African swine fever outbreak, we asked them again, and they had better data than they shared before. Important that data can be only used for analysis, can be only used by EFSA if we had the right to do that, if we had the data sharing agreement signed by them. Okay, so every time they submit a package of data, or at least every season, make sure they sign the data sharing agreement. As I commented before, normally they will provide you the data in the format they have, raw data, but try, insist then about the data model. At the end, this is beneficial for everybody, including them. Actually, at this regard, a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to meet the chief of hunting in the different countries of Europe. I mean, the national responsible, in some cases, the regional responsible, because Spain, in the frame of the presidency of the Commission, is organizing meeting like that. So I personally met them here in Spain. I presented them about Enetwild. So all the responsible of hunting at the national level in your countries are aware about Enetwild. I have the contacts, and we plan to organize a meeting with them. And they already know our activities, so we can present them the data model and to try to trigger them as direct providers of data. Okay. In this meeting, the idea is also you to participate and you to be in close contact with them. Okay. So this will be really interesting, at least to improve data from the very origin and to reduce workload. Okay. I think my impression is, my feel is that in this meeting with them here in Spain, they were very, very collaborative. Maybe the reason is that after the meeting, they were invited to a flamenco party, and they enjoyed it very much. But hopefully after that, they will continue this position to collaborate. So I will keep you informed about this meeting that probably will be organized in the next few days. Also important to ask about the metadata, particularly the spatial component, every time you receive data. Because, for instance, if you are getting data at hunting ground level, the disposition, the form, the naming of the hunting route change from one order to the other. Maybe only some of them. So it's important. Every submission comes with the metadata. I will just comment some countries as an example of data availability. Okay. So I am going to leave this presentation. And I want to share next. Do you see the Word file? The table?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Joaquin,
Okay.
one question.
Yes.
Joaquin, will be the presentation available?
Yes, the presentation and the recording of the presentation, the video. Yes, of course.
Yeah. So also the PDF, yes. Because my colleagues have no time to show the video.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Everything will be shared with you. Well, this is the table that is present in the report on data availability. So as I commented, in the shared folder, we are preparing an Excel document, even with more detail than you can see here, about the data that we already have for different countries. Okay, but for example, just following the order they are in the table, Czech Republic, we have data for wild boar from seasons 2014-15 to 16-17 at the hunting season level and at an administrative level that is below, is a higher resolution than Nutri, kind of low one, like in Slovakia. Okay, but we also have data from 17-18 to 2022 at Nutri level. Okay, so what will be the strategy with the Czech Republic? In this case, if possible, to get data for the last season for World War 22-23 at the best resolution they can provide this data, okay? If they can provide data from season 2017 to 18 at a better resolution, I mean low one, the first row, okay, it would be great to get this data. So you can see that the idea is to update data and to get data better resolution that we already have, but a better resolution. The start point for data collection, we decided in Enetwild 1 is season 2014, okay? But anyway, if we can manage to get long-term data series for countries, it's also welcome. But in terms of priority, the priority will be first to collect present data at the highest possible resolution, and after that to try to get best data or more data that we already have for previous seasons. I don't. There are different samples. I don't know you wish I to show you any particular country, but I think if you look to data availability, you will be able to identify the priorities, and you can tell us whatever doubt you have about any specific country. Okay. You can see that, for instance, in Spain, data is provided at the regional level. We have 17 regions, okay, but all of them provide data at the hunting ground level. Different spectral frame, but mostly complete for most of them. What we need is to update last seasons, okay? So you can identify your priorities for every country using this table, and as I commented, we are providing more detailed tables in the in a shared folder within this week. I think that's all from my side. You have any question? If not, I'll leave the room to Camila.
Oh, I came at two questions. One, in the overview, the time step quite often is yearly, but like I wrote in the data availability, we have data on the day they were shot, so you can aggregate this by month, by week, by season. So I don't understand always why it's yearly if there is smaller data available. So it's somehow up to you to decide how detailed you would like to have this information. That's one question. And then the other one is more important. Like you say, it's a continuous flow of information, the back statistics. But will it be possible to do an automated update of the data? Because I will tell you why. I can give you now the data of the shooting bags for the first month of 2023. And by January 24, those data will be updated. Also for January, it can be that the figures are changed. Will it be possible to do simply an upload of a new file, or will we have to do it manually, recorrect it for each month, or how will this go?
Yeah, we first about the first question. Yes, data is indicated in this table at the season level or year level because it's the data we have, but the data collection model is compatible to include data at any temporal and spatial resolution. So you can provide data disaggregated at temporal level as you have it, okay? You can provide coordinates and date. And about the second question, yeah, this is a really important point. In the sharing point you are going to share, you will see a table where the partners can indicate the data they are submitting for different species, different countries, at which level. What we are going to do at IREC with the data is not only to update in the web tool the new data, but to update also all databases that have been improved. So better submit the new database, and we will replace this we will replace the old database by the new one when we submit the data to EFSA. Okay, so we recommend, if you improve data that already we have collected, to submit the complete database, and we will replace it. Okay, Camila, I think you can.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah. And I hope that the presentation is in the correct mode. So I will include some of the information which were already presented by Joaquin. But here I would like to focus on data collection model, which in fact in this contract and in this data collection part for which you are responsible for are the most crucial part. So I know that we are always showing up the timeline, but because this is a timeline for our first contract, as you see, there is a lot of activities in most, probably many of you are involved in different parts. For us, those are the important deadlines, but as you know, it's not easy to work only on the deadlines which are indicated for the scientific, for this specific contract. So we decided to move those deadlines and focus rather on the things which we would like to work on with you. As you see, there are in fact 2 dates to which we would like that you will really stick on. First, upcoming is the 20th of January 2024. By that time, we would like to have a wild boar hunting data. As Joaquin also mentioned, there are 2 types of data. First, it's hunting bags in the resolution, the better, the best quality as you can get. And that would be great for us if you could provide that. But the other thing, which is little bit easier sometimes to provide, is providing the data at the country level. So total hunting bags per each country, and it will be deposited in the shared Excel file in our repository. So for those who are not familiar with this Excel file, or you don't have an access to that, please let us know so we also can, as soon as possible, give you the access to the repository or to the dedicated Excel files. And the second deadline is the last day of June. In fact, Joaquin, you mentioned the first day of July, but I would like that we will all keep in mind that the June will be the deadline for us. And by that time, we would like to have a hunting bag data on other species. By other species, I mean other ungulates and carnivores, which are planned, or the data are planned to be collected in this contract. So what is in fact the data workflow? At this moment, you as a data providers, as a data partners, are responsible for a contact with data providers. They at this stage are not planned to provide any standardized, validated format. So the only expectation is that they will give us the raw data, the best quality, whatever they can get. And in fact, whatever we can get, we should appreciate that. So data partners should harmonize those data and putting that in wildlife data model 2.0 standards. This is the Excel file, the newest version of the file, which I will show you in a second. And then for you as a data partners, later on, you will be also responsible for validating those data by the integrated validation tool, which will be presented also soon. Apart from that, the data providers are also responsible for communication with the data coordinating center. So here it's IREC and our Mammal Research Institute, and the people mentioned in the slide are responsible for being in contact with you. We are hoping to get any feedback from you, even if there are any problems. If you know that there is some kind of data which is available, but you're facing any problems in getting them. Only by keeping up the contacts between you and us, we are able to get any information in a good format without rushing at the end when the deadline is approaching. So how the file looks like. This is the simple Excel file which have few sheets where you can input your own data. For those who participated in Enetwild 1.0, you know already this file, and of course we know that there are some problems with this. First of all, you have to remember to fill up the metadata page where you're indicating all the sources, when the data was extracted, what kind of the informations are encapsulated in this Excel file. The data page, the draft one, is the one dedicated for putting up your data. In a moment, I will show you, like not in the presentation, but real life, the Excel file. And this the data page is the place where you're putting all your informations. In case anything would be not so understandable, we put also vocabulary sheets where you can try out if you understand what the kind of the data should be put it over there. Of course, we know that maybe, of course, we know that there in the first, this metadata page, you should include also information about the data sharing agreement. And this was the thing which also caused a lot of problems in the first Enetwild. So data sharing agreement for this part, the Enetwild 2, was also a little bit updated. We will ask you to update the data sharing agreements, and for those who don't have data sharing agreements yet, we will ask also, or you will be responsible for getting those informations. By getting data sharing agreement, this is the only way how we can easily transfer those data to EFSA. So the key is to inform always the data providers that they remain the owners of the data, that they are deciding about the terms, how the data will be used. And the thing which also shows up in this updated data sharing agreement is that data providers will agree if it will be in the public domain or it will be only to identified users as agreed with EFSA. Wildlife data model, this Excel file which you got with the previous emails, for those who did not, please contact me, have 62 fields. So if you're opening up this Excel file, immediately you can think that, oh, this will be a horrible work to fill it up. But in fact, only 15 fields are mandatory. So, and they are not very difficult to fill in. You are obliged to include those informations. So type of the information, if it's hunting data, occurrence, or density. At this stage, we are focusing only on hunting data. So for most of you, this will be only the hunting data type, location, XY coordinates, and also those information are rather involved with describing the location. The really useful thing is putting the information about the reference system, which, as for me, I was working with many other countries and getting the data, sometimes getting the information and then recreating it might be difficult if you don't know in which kind of reference system you got the information. So as you see, there are those yellow fields, but those which are here with explanation are marked with the yellow, are mandatory as well. Then later on, if you ensure that you will complete the sections filled with marked with the yellow color, please keep predefined drop-down values like that. Don't enter your own data. So, for example, as I mentioned, in the type, you can choose if it's occurrence or hunting data. And the location ID is the information which allows us to bind the Excel file with the shape file, which we hope that it will be also possible to provide. And in fact, harmonizing the data is filling up this Excel file correctly. As you see, if the raw data is we managed to get the raw data, then we are standard harmonizing that into the Excel, so putting it in the Excel file. Then you will be responsible for validating the data and getting the information, the feedback, if the file is correct. And then this validated data, you're passing to IREC to get the final database, which will allow us to perform the analysis. Except of that, there will be a few additional Excel files, so wild boar hunting back data on the country level, and we will be asking you to update the status of data collection. This will be in Excel files in the shared repository, so you will get the access to that soon. And what is the crucial thing for us is the communication. So we would like you to report the status of data sharing agreement in particular countries by the end of this year. So we hope that within this 1 month, in fact, you will be able to get the information, at least the feedback from your data providers about the possibilities of signing up such a data sharing agreement, if there are any problems, or if you already have this data sharing agreement signed. We would like you to update also the list of data providers, in fact, including all the people who you've been contacting, even if the contacts failed. So for us, it's giving us at least the overview, which we can report also to EFSA about our effort. That sometimes we are trying to get the data on different levels, but of course it can happen that we will fail at some point. And this is the thing which also would be great for us if you could inform us about the status of data collection. What are your successes, but also what kind of challenges and problems you're facing. We would like to have an update each month, so at least you will send us an email that what kind of problems, or that you managed to update some data, or you're waiting for information. And also it would be great if you could let us who is in charge in your group for providing the databases. So we can directly contact these people without disturbing all of your group. And if there will be any questions, we can communicate directly to that person. So to sum up, how does it look like? The deadlines for wild boar hunting better at country level as soon as possible. For the hunting back in the format, half of January, and the last day of June, we should know that we have to have the ungulates and carnivores validated format data. For data, they should be in Excel file, this 2.0 version. Please keep in mind to fill up both metadata and draft, and the validating tool will be available in January 2024. Also, for those who did not do that, please provide the shape files, which is mandatory, and it's allowing us to get the information. Okay, and for communication, as I mentioned, those 4 people are for you if you need us, and hope that we will be able to keep the dates soon. So, thank you very much. This is all from my side. And Jim?
Yeah, just one question. What's the temporal resolution you are needing the files for? Because if we have to fill in a line, I can aggregate data for each year in the data model for each municipality or for each month, because you're not asking the raw data. I mean, I cannot fit the raw data into the Excel. That's impossible. So I will have to aggregate them first and then bring in line by line in the Excel. So what's the smallest time step we are really needing it for modeling?
You're getting the data in coordinates or in...
I get them for each animal, for each coordinate on each day.
And in that way, I guess you can fit it directly to the Excel file. Because
I know you cannot, because you have to use drop downs. So I cannot upload them by CSV or by whatever.
Yeah, with this automated way, yeah, but so that's true. If you will have a lot of fields to fill up, you have to mark and copy paste all of them directly. With the drop down, you can just mark and fill everything down. But uploading to some kind of CSV file or getting that in more automated way, we still have to work on that. So
I think it's important. I think it's important everybody knows, like, the minimum we need is for the modeling is every year for every municipality, or every month, or what's really the minimum requirement for EFSA and for Enetwild project?
I would say, like, if you are able to aggregate your data up to municipality or hunting ground, depends of what kind of shape files you have, because sometimes you have information about the hunting grounds, but you don't have a shape file for that. So then you should first of all aggregate your data for modeling to the lowest spatial resolution as you have the shapefiles available. And most of us are reporting in the years or hunting seasons. So a time scale, I like the easiest to transfer for us and to work on would be year and the hunting season, because most of the countries are reporting like that. So this would be my answer.
Okay. I will have to run in 2 minutes, just that you know.
Okay. Ezio, Stefania, I guess you would like to add some also.
No, just to say that the minimum requested by EFSA is NUTS3 and yearly. But obviously it is not easy, but you remember we have two things to do. The first is to reply to the EFSA will. They want data with this time frame and this space scale resolution. The other point, if we have to develop model, and if we will be able develop some really good model and use data and publish this. So the better resolution, the better it is for time and for spatial resolution. But what we need, it is a minimum for every country. There are countries like Belgium that can have data at very high resolution. From other countries, we don't have data from the country. So, you know, it is a balance. So obviously, the better data you have, the better is for us for elaboration and modeling. Thanks.
I just wanted to give a feedback about the current status of the negotiation with EFSA regarding the data sharing agreement. So what Camilla showed you before is a quite final version of the data sharing, which has been greatly simplified compared to what we had to ask in the previous contract. The most important thing, because it's one of the greatest difficulties that we have to face, is that we specified who can sign this data sharing agreement. One of the major difficulties was that data providers are usually not the person that has the authority of, well, doesn't always feel empowered to sign the data sharing agreement. So in this data sharing agreement, we specified that even like data, like medium level officers can sign the data sharing agreement. We don't need the president of the ministry, well, of the region to sign that document, which is, we believe, a very important step forward in making it easier for data providers to sign the data sharing agreement. Also, another thing that EFSA required, since the previous data sharing agreement was signed making reference to the previous Enetwild consortium, we have, unfortunately, to ask also to data providers that have already signed the data sharing agreement to sign an addendum to the current one, so that they recognize that they are not transferring the data, well, that they recognize that they are transferring the data to an updated, to a renovated Enetwild consortium. It is hopefully very, very clear. It's a very slender document, which should not be very difficult to have it signed, but please keep in mind that we have to have the data sharing agreement signed by new data providers, and also previous data providers have to sign this addendum, which just notifies them that the consortium has changed and we require the same data. But all the documents will be shared, and hopefully it will be very clear what we have to ask and to whom we have to ask. Thank you.
Okay, I guess Jota, you have wanted to add something about those tools?
We cannot hear you.
Yeah, I am trying to solve a problem with the computer, sorry. I'm going to try again. Okay, now it's correct, sorry. Can you see the slide correctly?
Yes.
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay, well, okay, you have listened more or less what is the data flow, but only to comment some points about the data providers. That is the person that is going to send you the data. That the main task that you will have to do with them is to have a very active communication, also to give them a feedback and support, to think that probably they can take advantage of the data model that we are going to generate and the new format that probably they can, is a way to give them feedback that could be interesting for them, and also is a way to motivate them to following this kind of standards also for the future. That about the data, I like also to consider that probably we are thinking, or you are thinking about large scale with a high coverage within one single country, but also consider other kind of data that can be useful. For example, a small number of hunting grounds within a region or within a country, but with higher or best resolution that the high level or high or administrative level will be really interesting also to get this information in a complementary way. So don't think only in administrative units, in not three municipalities or other kind or small administrative level. Also consider small areas like hunting ground or natural park, for example, that they used to have a very active data collection from these areas with higher resolution, temporal or spatial resolution, are really important information. So don't discard this kind of information because you only have 4 or 5 areas in this part, okay? Also, other recommendation is about automatization of the data. In some case, I know that it's not the general pattern in Europe, but in some region, probably in Belgium or in other areas where you have all this information in a specific standard, probably the best way is to standardize this database to or model. And probably if you have skills to do that using R or the kind of tools, probably will be the most easy way. The question about the drop downs that Stefani commented isn't only because a way to follow a specific vocabulary that we have to use, that the drop down menu is not necessary to write one by one all the cells, all the information within the cells. It's possible to transform this one with R, with other software, following the vocabulary and the terms that we are going to use in the project. Okay, so if you can do this part of digitalization, great. Also because probably you can transfer in the future these kind of tools to the data provider directly, and they can send you the data in the right format, so you can save a lot of time if you combine them, that this approach is good for them. Then after this digitalization, automatization, it's necessary to do this harmonization with the Wella data model the Camila explained. And in the direct by the moment, our function will be also to bind in this information, also if it is necessary to aggregate this information. If we have dates and coordinate, we will try to join this information, but it's important to have the information with the highest resolution. But it's true that EFSA is not requesting only the NAT3, because NAT3 is only for public dissemination or sharing information, but when they analyze the data, they are using the highest resolution that is available in most of the case. So if you have coordinate, it's great. If you have date event daily event of hunting event activity, is better than annual or in other kind of resolution. So the best resolution spatial at the spatial temporal level, the better. Well, and after that, we have to use different tools. For the case to raw data to Wella data model, it will depend on the skill of your team, but you can use R, SQL, GSystem, Excel to perform this kind of data. If you have any problem, okay, we can try to looking for a way to give you any support, but in most of the case, it's important to have these skills to perform this task, okay? After that, we are generating other tool, the information, the validation tool that will help us to consider that we are following this standard to be joined with other database, but also to be transferred to other tools that EFSA is using, like the WildDet, this data exploration tool that I'm going to explain you a little, not a lot, because probably we'll have a meeting about it. For the validation tool, we are using R, but also the Docker that allow to install these tools in your computer in an easy way, avoiding some problems that are generally associated with the version of the R that you are using, the libraries, or different things. But it has some little difficulties for some people to do the first installation. So probably you will need any support to do that, but probably you have people in your team or your institution that have enough knowledge to help you to install this kind of tools in your computer. So this will be an option, and we can send you the early version that we have ready to help you to validate your data, mainly for the people that has been collected data from the past. We can give you access to this tool, but also we are going to try to incorporate this tool in a web app. So in this way, probably will be more easy in the future for you to use this tool with any problem of installation. But probably we'll need more time to do this one, because we like to do some improvement also with the data flow and with the validation to improve a little more. But we can pass the first version of this tool for you. More or less, what you are going to have is a signing up, very easy, where you can upload the Excel file following the wildlife data model format, and also the set files or other formats. And this tool will do a validation to validate that different parameters are working correctly in your database. For example, if you have identified correctly the different polygons within the set file or different things, probably this app can identify any problem, and you can check if you have any problem with your database, or even if you have to ask to the data providers that this is important task that you have to do. A good communication, because probably you are going to identify some problems with the database that you are using. So you will see that it's a very friendly tool to be used. Probably this kind of, this tool will give you some replay, giving some details about the data that you are uploaded, and also if you have any problem with this kind. And then with this information, it will be possible to check if it is working correctly or not, the data that we are receiving. But as Joaquin commented, it was one of the most problematic steps on the generation of models, but also in the validation of information. What you are going to generate is a zip file with different files also, like the raw data that you have upload, the reports, the data in a CSV format, and also the metadata that you have upload to the app. This information is what you have to send to the repository, okay? And then that is more or less validated, but after that we will do another validation of the data, okay, to be sure, and also to check that other parameters are working correctly, and we will give you any feedback about how correct are the data that you are sending, okay? The data exploration tool is another signing up tool. This will be in a web within EFSA repository. They have a space where it's possible to run this kind of application. For this application will be located in this space, and will possible to navigate to see what is the information available at node 3. That will be the open information that EFSA will share with everybody in open way, following the data sharing agreement, okay? But also this application will have other possibility to be download information with higher resolution, with the right that EFSA consider that is necessary to give to different persons, institutions, or in the way they consider, okay? Also, it's possible to upload other kind of information. Mainly at the moment, we have focused on hunting back data, but also that information about occurrence, or information about densities, or even the information from the outputs of the models also will be possible to be incorporated to this application. So as Camila commented, MRE is going to coordinate the data collection, reporting on the status, coordinating and support, and also with the training. And in the case of IREC, we are going to focus mainly in improving these data tools, managing data repositories, error identification, also to help you to improve the data collection, some spatial correction to identification, because probably we will need your support to identify what the problem is coming, the data aggregation following the standards or the requirements of EFSA, and at the end, the correction integration of the main database that will be shared with EFSA, okay? So more or less, this is the idea. About the repository, we are going to use a SharePoint of Microsoft, more or less, that probably will give you access to this repository with different folders, depending on the number of countries that you are managing, and you will have access to different information within this folder. You have 4 different folders, like the raw data. This mainly is related to the original provision data. It's not necessary, it's not mandatory to send the raw data to this folder. You can save in your computer or in your repository. It's not mandatory to do it, but in some case we can identify some databases from meetings, or from papers, or from other way. And sometimes what we are doing is upload this kind of information to the raw data for different countries, because you can review this kind of information that will be useful for you to identify data sources, different data sources, or for the other reasons. So it's like a rabbis folder with no standardized information for this country that will be useful for you. For example, imagine that we identify, for example, a database or any report about roadkills in some region. So probably we can upload this report there to have to communicate you that this information could be also important to be explored. Okay. The harmonized folder, this is mainly related for the previous team, that here we will have information from the wildlife data model in Excel format. Okay, in most of the case will be harmonized and ready to be used. It's possible that we have any validation, but probably in some cases it will be necessary to be validated. Okay. The other folder is the validated folder, that will be all the information, the zip files with the database that has been validated with the validation tool. Okay, so you have to upload this in the future, the information to this folder. This is the most important folder. And then we will have other folder that isn't standardized, because probably we'll have to elaborate these validated files in a improved version to be transferred to the general model. So in this case, you will have to get access mainly to the yellow folders, but also you will have access to the brown one that probably you can use, for example, to give any feedback, for example, to the data providers. This is one of the folders that will have access, and the other one is about the data summary. This is a general folder with information related to data flow, like the reference files, like the wildlife data model access file, the last version that we had, to be sure that you are using with some instruction, the data sharing agreement model that you can copy if you miss some of the information that we are going to send you by email. The other folder will be the availability folder with the Excel files about availability that Camila talked about it, that you have to give a report of what are you getting, what information, and the status of this information. And also with the name of the folders or the files that has been uploaded to the repository. Probably we upload there some reports about the data availability that you can have more detailed information that we have been done previously with data collection. And other file is the wild board Trends Europe. This is a Excel file with the annual hunting figures for by country. These are very simple Excel that you can fill in a common way, but probably other species will be included in the future. We will see what happens if it is requested by EFSA or not. We'll have also other folder to incorporate the video meetings, like this one, for example, that you can review in the future if you like. Probably also this can be available in the YouTube channel, but in this way you will have access to all the videos in an easy way. And if necessary, we will generate other folder to incorporate the software or other manuals related to software that you can download in for your different activity with this task. Okay, so more or less will be the structure of the repository. So important, we need not only the information of the name and the emails of the responsible of the data collection, but also of the person that will have access to the repository for different countries. Okay, it's important to have. Probably you can work with a team with 2 or 3 persons. I don't know. It depends how are you organizing these tasks. So we need this information to give access to the repository, to authorize and to check that it's working, because sometimes you will see that there are some problems to get access because sometimes the security rules can change. This is a frequent actualization with the rules in this kind of service. Okay, so please let us know who are you and who are working in the different folders. And for me, it's okay. I have not more to explain. Any question or any comment?
Christoph, I would have a question or more or less a remark. The Docker technology that is often in administrations like our not allowed due to the fact that it undermines the security of the PC because it cannot be controlled by the IT. So that you have please in mind that there
Okay.
are organizations which makes the delivery to install this technology very difficult.
Okay, I
Or
understand that the case
impossible,
of
like in our institution. We are not involved at the moment in data collection, but that is directly now up to now, but that would be a limit which would be impossible. The use of a website which uses Docker technology, as you can imagine, is no problem, but the use on a local computer is for some of the administrations, but that often people do not know. That is the reason why I would like to mention it, because this technology is very good in my opinion, but it is not very favorable for central IT. It is a catastrophe because you can do underneath very security problems. You can have security problems. Thanks.
Thanks, Christoph. Okay, thanks for this comment. That is true that I know for the case of Germany and other countries will be really complicated also this kind of approach, but we can try to looking for another different way to do it. Or in this case, we prefer to use this kind of, at the moment, this kind of approach. We are considering also to use other more automatic way to send the data that we will see if it could be useful for us, but in this case we can use other classical approach, probably by email if it's possible, or other different way to try to solve this problem. And in this special case we can looking for other way to do it. But thanks for the comment. That is true. Any other comment or question? Okay, but then we can finish if Ezio, Stefania agree. We can finish the meeting for today.
Yes.
Okay, pues if you have any problem, you have the emails. We will send this information for you from the different presentations but you can contact with Joaquin, con Camila, with me, or with Thomas. You have any doubt, and we'll try to help you or give you any support. Okay. Thanks a lot for your
Bye,
time.
and thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.